In this video, we're going to do an exercise called a hard style plank. A hard style plank is a great way to get ab wall activity without having fallout of the low back, the neck, the shoulders, and sometimes the hamstring and groin. So I'm going to walk you through some progressions and ways that we end up coaching people to do this here at Finish Line Personal Training. And we're going to find a version that works better for you, okay? So the basic starting point here before we do regressions and progressions is we usually start people with a diamond formation here with the hands, and then we splay the elbows out wide. If your shoulders or neck don't tolerate this, obviously there's regressions to come. From here, we usually have people look through the tunnel that forms between their legs. Most people say, well, my shirt's in the way. I can't see it. Oops, sorry, I guess I can't talk that loud because of the microphone there. But yeah, get a little higher then. So as you can see as I'm going through it, I won't tuck my head just because of the mic, but you'll see that there's a tunnel that forms between my legs there. And I'm nice and flat, hopefully, into the mid-back and upper back as I do so. So just like any other plank, you should be basically straight like a plank. That's why they call it a plank. Now, usually we have people do this for reps and sets that are not really distinctive. So we end up doing effort-based, so it's going to be 10 seconds on, pause, come on down for 3, 2, 1, and 10 seconds on for pause, and 3, 2, 1. Usually to the point where they feel pretty fatigued in the appropriate areas, which is going to be the abdominal wall, the whole abdominal wall. And then that's how you know the exercise is a green light, you can do it, okay? So now let's talk about the scenario where it doesn't really work for people. So the first thing that we usually have people try to do is find the appropriate pelvic tilt. As you can see how I'm laying right now, my back is arched and I have an anterior pelvic tilt. They couple as the same thing. Low back arch is anterior pelvic tilt. Now, some people, when they're face down on the ground like this, they can actually combat that a little bit. And they can practice here like they're pushing the zipper of their pants into the floor, relax their butt cheeks, and then that is a posterior pelvic tilt, or at least a neutral in this scenario. Now, if you can do this, then you can go on to the exercise. If you can't, you may have to regress a little bit. This is where we take you into a pelvic tuck scenario. So you can be here. You're going to smash your back into the floor and relax. Smash your back into the floor and relax. And as you can see, my pelvis is rotating into a posterior tilt. And this is not strengthening anything. This is just a patterning exercise. So you pattern it about 10 times. Once you got it down, we're going to go back to the floor here. And you should retain some of that feeling and be able to do the exercise as we talked about, okay? Now let's just say it still hurts. Like you can't do it. It's uncomfortable to do. We have to consider there's other considerations we can make. Now, a lot of people that I see that do this end up feeling discomfort in not only the neck or the low back area, but other places because of this mid-back dominance, okay? As you can see, my mid-back is moving into a turtle shell and the other part of me is kind of staying where it's at. So what you can do here is you can imagine like someone stuck a piece of duct tape onto your back in the shape of a 1 running upwards and try to crinkle the duct tape as you perform the exercise. If you stretch the duct tape, then it may hurt, okay? So wrinkle the duct tape, perform the exercise, and then come on down, okay? So that's with a mid-back consideration. Now let's talk about a tension consideration. So I don't have anything on the floor here to simulate this, and this floor is fairly slippery. So sometimes you have to change the environment and just get something like a mat or something that you can actually push. So imagine there's a mat here. We have little cutout yoga mats that we use, and it becomes very tacky. And so what we can do here is, rather than thinking do the plank exercise, the hard plank exercise, we can think about trying to accomplish a task, which is going to be moving the mat physically that way. When you do that, you have to grab the mat. You can't slide on it. Okay, you grab the mat, you push the mat, and if you push it hard enough, you will get up into a plank position and then come on down. I like this one a lot, especially for people who are experiencing neck and shoulder problems, because it keeps the neck very honest rather than having them look through the tunnel. Both of them are very hard, and as you can see, I'm probably shaking on both. Now we have to consider, too, when we're doing this other thing, are we keeping the posterior pelvic tilt as well? This is why one-on-one coaching is very helpful for this, but ideally you do the hardest version that you can do well, okay? The last thing we can do is a complete floor version. This one's gonna seem like a regression, and it is, but actually it's pretty darn hard too. So we're gonna go forehand on the hands, just like so. Elbows kind of splayed out, just like this. Do a posterior pelvic tilt, like so, and then create enough room so that there's space underneath just your rib cage here to slide a slip of paper. And down. This one's probably the hardest version of all of them, but also because you have the hands and the forehead connected, it eliminates a lot of the shoulder upper trap activity that sometimes people have. Okay, now let's say we want to make it harder. This hard plank actually turns into a version of a push-up. Okay, I like people to do hard planks, especially with a posterior tilt, before they do things like push-ups, before they do ab wheel rollouts, before they do sliding exercises on sliders, because it allows us to find a better pelvic and lumbar spine position before actually doing the other exercises, okay? But all of it eventually does carry over, and as you probably found out already, corrective exercises become weight training exercises, which become play exercises, such as diving forward to slide to second base. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel, and if you have questions for your trainer, reach out to them, because these are all versions you may be given over time, or maybe not.